Hello friends, this is Promi and welcome back to the Kerbal Commonwealth Space Agency. As you can see here, I'm just quickly doing a part test contract that I picked up just before fast forwarding another week in time. This is a test of the reel chute double cone chute. You might notice that the plume on the rocket is a little different than before. I'm using the reel plume mod. Gives a nice effect of expansion of the plume as you ascend in altitude. And the sound is a little bit deeper and crunchier too, which is kind of satisfying. So we got our contract complete here, armed our parachute at the designated altitude and velocity. I did have an issue with the cubic octagonal strut that is holding the parachute on. There's currently an issue with them overheating and exploding. It is an issue with the stock game, but I have read that is exacerbated by Ferrum Aerospace. So in just a moment here, see our strut has exploded. The other parts have survived, but our launch stage and probe core is not going to be long for this world. So it was unfortunately lost, just on the shoreline here. The parachute, however, even though it did get quite warm, survived the accident. The parachute deployed successfully. I didn't actually know exactly how this double cone chute was intended to operate, and this initial chute seemed quite small. But at about 500 meters it automatically detached and then this full triple chute deployed. So it seems like a pretty good part. So even though we had that accident, I would say the test was a success. We got some funds and a little bit of science from that. So let's take a look at the results. Alright, it looks like I actually didn't get a results window from recovering that because it was technically just debris, I guess. But we did get a little bit of science and funds from when we completed our contract, so we're at 150,000 funds and it's about 24.5 science. Let's see what other contracts we have available. I did see this one earlier. It'll be good to start our proper Kerbal Space Tourism. This is using the Tourism Plus contract pack. Our previous tourist expedition with Bilbald and Silin wasn't with a formal agency, but Tito Kerman here wants to start the official space tourism industry, or space tourism agency. Wants to go on a 4-hour minimum voyage up to 75 kilometers with a pilot. I also wanted to take Bill because Bill needs some more experience. He's not a pilot though, so we'll have to take one of our 3 pilots along. There'll be a 3 Kerbal vessel. We'll accept that. Let's see what else we have here. Crash probe on the Moon. That definitely keeps showing up. Good amount of science for doing that. How many do we have active? Okay, we have our maximum active right now. So we have all these Moon contracts which we need to get to at some point. That survey which we need to finish. And mystery goo and laser scans on Kerbin, so a whole bunch of Kerbin science to do. I suppose if we wanted to have more contracts we could always upgrade the mission control. I'm not sure how much that would cost. Let's take a look. 280, okay. So that's kind of out of reach, and I kind of want to upgrade the spaceplane hangar so I don't have to go through all the fuss of making planes in the VAB if they're over the part limit. So yeah, we'll leave that alone for now. And let's start with our tourist craft. So we'll go to the VAB. Now previously we had 3 of these Mark 1 command pods stacked on top of each other for our tourist ship, which looked a little bit odd. I do still have this experimental larger command pod, which is waiting to be tested on the Moon, but in the meantime we could possibly use it for our tourist contract here. It holds 3. Do we have a parachute that would be suitable? No. Could have saved that cone chute for this, but yeah, I think if we do 3 radials, that will probably be sufficient. Don't want to obscure the hatch. Maybe we should do 2 and a Mark 16. Let's use an adapter. Looks pretty good. Let's recess the radials in a little bit. Let's change the flag to our proper space agency flag. Okay, now how are we going to adapt this to the rocket, which will be the smaller diameter, of course. We do have this sort of tuna can shaped 2-meter tank, which we could use for our upper stage. Don't actually have a proper heat shield for this thing, which could be a problem. We just have this little one. Yes, that is a bit of a concern. I could do like a array of them around the bottom, perhaps. So let's stick one in the middle. I think this actually probably would survive re-entry without the heat shield, but just want to make sure. I know that with the stock heating it probably would, but I am using deadly re-entry, which adjusts the heating parameters somewhat. So let's use some more of these. 6 on here? Maybe. That kind of works. Looks a little odd, but kind of looks like a cookie. Making me hungry. Or a biscuit, I guess, if you were from the UK. Okay. So that's actually quite a bit of mass on there, but at least that'll keep us stabilized in the right direction. So let's put a decoupler on here. Is there anything else we'd want to use? I think no. It's our largest decoupler. Yeah, that's a little silly, isn't it? I wonder if I should use a fairing. Interstage fairing, maybe? Cover all this stuff. So where are our fairings? So those are the stock ones, but I should have procedural fairings in here somewhere, which I like a little better. Or maybe I don't. I might have temporarily uninstalled them so I would have more memory available. Okay, well I think I'll put our upper stage inside the fairing too. Let's get one of our LV909, another decoupler, and then we can put on our fairing. So, let's go with this one. Come on, place cross section. Place. Okay, there we go. It's not quite right though. Yep, that is a little yeah, too confetti-ish. I can turn my other fairings back on, so I will be back in a moment. Okay, I am back, and let's see. Now we have... Okay, here are our procedural fairings. They're back. Let's see, which one do we want? Interstage, fairing base. I think we want interstage. Let's purchase the entry cost to that and fix it on the bottom here. Not sure exactly how this is supposed to operate. Let's get our conic fairing. How do we change the shape? Right click? No, shape unlock, ejection. Looks like you can put a blade of shielding on it, which is kind of nice. That'll come in handy when we want to send things to Duna or so. But how do we make it longer? So So I want it to come all the way up here. Well, firstly I want it in 4 pieces. There must be some way to make it come up all the way here. Maybe I should just put the whole thing in a fairing. So let's grab a base ring. And now I will use the conic. Can we change? Is it 2 pieces? Yeah, okay. There we go. Okay, we'll just stick the whole thing in there. Now we need to put a launch stage on the bottom. Grab our L3 wildfire, I think. So strut seems to be going crazy there. Just want to stick this on here so I can remove some parts and then stick it on the bottom. Okay. So let's take that off and see everything up here pretty much is going away. We actually already have an upper stage inside the fairing. That looks pretty good, but I don't think it will have enough oomph to get us into orbit in this configuration. I think this might call for a 4 booster setup. Okay, so I did some calculations and played with the staging a bit here. So here's what I come up with. 4 boosters looked like it wouldn't actually be enough to get us into orbit, so I went with 6. 2 of them are throttled up a bit more than the other 4, so we'll eject 2 at first and then the other 4 a little later. And it'll just smooth out our thrust curve a little bit. Added another fuel tank in here. And because we have 6 boosters, I had to bring the fins up to 6 so that they'd be able to fit in between. Then I called it the L3A Wildfire, and this one is the Orbital Adventure. So let's make sure we have everyone we need here. So we want Jeb. Actually, I'll put Bill here because that's the middle seat that doesn't have a window. We want Jeb and Tito to both have windows, so put Jeb in there. Or do we want Jeb? Or do we want Valentina or Halmy? They're all equally experienced at this point. Jeb has a little bit more experience with tourists though, so we'll go with Jeb. And then bring Tito Kerman along as well. Okay, so that should be everything, I think. Let's check our staging. We have all the boosters plus our main engine to begin with, then the launch clamps, then we eject those ones, and then these 4 afterwards. And then the fairing gets ejected, and our main stage, start up our upper stage engine, and then on our way back to Kerbal, we eject the upper stage and deploy parachutes. So, let us head to... oh, gotta fix our flag. Alright, let us head to the launch pad. Okay, here we are on the launch pad with Jeb, Bill, and Tito Kerman. Let's throttle all the way up, turn on our spilly assist, and we should be good for launch. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and ignition. And liftoff. Okay. Look at all that smoke from those solid boosters. I think we're accelerating a little bit fast, so I'm going to throttle down a bit. I think at some point we're going to want to switch to liquid boosters if we want to maintain the air quality around Kerbal Space Center. Because all that smoke can't be healthy. This thing's not quite as balanced as I would like it to be, since I had to put on each pair of boosters separately. Should get ready to jettison our first set. Okay, off they go. Let's throttle the main engine all the way up, now that our most powerful boosters are gone. Okay, next set of boosters are just about ready to separate. And off they go. It's a clean separation. We're just on our liquid stage now. You can see the plume is expanded quite a bit from the low pressure at this altitude. Alright, it looks like our boosters have all been recovered successfully. Okay, our main stage is out of fuel, so let's jettison our fairings and jettison the main stage and fire up our upper stage. Still gotta boost our apoapsis up a bit. With the real plume, this little vacuum engine is quite a bit different. Okay, our apoapsis is up at 75 now. So I'm going to create a maneuver node. Circularize our orbit. There we go, so 75 and 75. That should be good. Burn of 25 seconds. We are now in space. Let's see what kind of a view we have from the capsule. Well, Bill doesn't see anything. Probably for the best for him. Nice view of Kerman from the window here. And of the sun there. Hopefully the windows have protection from the harsh glare of the sun. Didn't set up any of our... Oh, that's Tito Kerman. This is Jeb. Can set up some of his instrument panels. Okay, so we're getting ready to do our circularization burn. See the muons just coming over the horizon here. Be a nice picture for our tourist. Okay, let's go full throttle. It's kind of a curious looking vessel. It's kind of like a mouse pointer actually. And looks like we are now in orbit. So we have apoapsis of 80 and periapsis of 72. Okay, so we'll need to bring... let's get rid of this one. We'll need to bring our periapsis up, because we need a minimum of 75 to complete the contract. That should do. And our main stage was destroyed. Let's align ourselves with our maneuver node. Now we can see the planet right from our front windows. There's Bill, or Jeb rather, doing his piloting. Tito cannot operate any of these. Get Bill something better to look at. Really should get some of the external cameras so we can have camera feeds through these displays. That would be pretty good. Let's see what we can do here. Vessel, no. Navigation, orbital information, resource information. Lots of good stuff for Bill. Okay, let's see some of our debris down there from our main stage. And we have the Mune. And here you can see the galaxy. Alright, let's fast forward to our maneuver node. Just a tiny little burn, 7 meters per second. Coming around the night side. Okay, here we are. Let's give it just a quick little burst. Okay. So we have apoapsis of 81 kilometers and a periapsis of about 80.5, so a pretty circular orbit. Now we just have to stay up here for 4 hours to meet the terms of our contract with Tito and the Kerbal Tourism Agency. Let's get the windows pointed towards the planet. No, we're coming up on the dark side now. So I will speak to you again once we have completed our mission. Okay, we appear to have a bit of an issue. We've only been in space for 2 hours, but our electric charge is almost out because we neglected to put any batteries on here, so it's just running off what is available in our capsule. This small engine does not have an alternator, so we can't use fuel to recharge the batteries. Should have included a fuel cell, perhaps. But Yes, we had not planned for this kind of duration. So it looks like Tito Kerman is going to get a free second ride into space because we failed to meet his requirements on the first go-around. But we proved this vessel is certainly up to the task. But we should return to Kerbin before our electric charge runs out and we are unable to orient the craft or keep ourselves warm. So let us make a maneuver node just ahead here. Let's try about there, see if that kind of a deorbit will work out. Okay, so that maneuver is coming up in 6 minutes. Let's just align ourselves. Fast forward in time. Okay, and let's burn. Okay. Now we can jettison our upper stage. We just have our little flour biscuit heat shield here. Hopefully it will work out. I don't see why it wouldn't. We will find out shortly. Our electric charge is almost completely gone. I hope that doesn't interfere with our ability to use the parachutes. Okay, and we've hit the atmosphere. Capsule is orienting itself into the airstream. Electric charge is now completely gone. Don't think we will quite make it to Kerbal Space Center. We might end up in the desert or the ocean here. Starting to get some re-entry effects. The ablator seems to be depleting much quicker in the central shield than in the perimeter ones. Jeb certainly finds all this quite exciting. Not sure if our tourist is of the same opinion. Okay, so it does look like we're going to land in the desert. G-forces are rising. Okay, peaked out about 4 Gs and our compression heating is done. You can see the central shield is almost totally burned out. To drop below 300 meters per second, we'll pop our chutes. Okay, chutes away. Okay, our parachutes are opening. Slowing right down. Still seem to be a little bit fast. And our heat shields were destroyed on impact. Hopefully everyone was braced for that. It's a little bit of a rough landing. Okay, everyone seems to be happy. I think no one is injured. No more electric charge. But we're in a warm environment now. I think they should still have some power in their EVA packs. We have our upper stages destroyed. And let's send a recovery team to get our capsule. Okay, we recovered our craft. 65% of our capsule value recovered. And Bill got some experience. And so did Tito. Not that that matters, but that was important. That was one of our goals, was to get Bill advanced to level 1, so he'd be able to repack the chutes once we take the Albatross aircraft back to the Arctic, which we will be doing soon. So at least we got some benefit out of that. So it appears to be dusk here at Kerbal Space Center, so let's just warp forward to the next morning. Okay, it's morning again. I'm sure Bill, Tito, and Jeb have been recovered by now. So I think we will try to do a repeat of that mission, the same craft, just with some modifications. I won't show you most of it because we've basically seen the mission profile already. Let's just see if Gene has any experiments or anything that we might want to bring up at the same time. Surface sample Kerbin's water. Relay on Minmus. Launch escape system in flight over Kerbin. Nah, that won't really work with our fairing. Roma Mune, escape trajectory, and Mune. Okay, looks like we will just go to the back of the VAB and make some modifications to our craft. We'll call this the Orbital Adventure 2. Let's get the fairing off of here for now. So, we have 600 electric charge, and that got us a 2-hour flight in orbit, so we'll need 1200, and or the ability to regenerate electric charge while in orbit. So we would want some fuel cells and also some batteries. So we could put a service bay on here, but since everything's in the fairing already, and this will only be exposed in near vacuum, I think we're safe to just stick this stuff on the side here. So the fuel cell mass is 0.05 and the batteries are 1/10 of that, but we have this larger battery. It's 0.02, so 2 of those should be reasonably well balanced with the fuel cell. So now we have 1450 plus the ability to regenerate our charge. So that should be lots. I'm just going to recess these just a little bit because I think they're sticking out a little bit too much. Come on, fuel cell. There we go. Alright, I think that looks a little nicer. Put this back on. Our proper flag. Save. Alright. So I'm going to launch this, basically do the same mission as before, but for a total of 4 hours. I'll probably just cut quickly through this, so I will speak to you again once we have completed the mission and are back on Kerbin. Alright, we are back at Kerbal Space Center once again. Tito has gone for his second orbit, this time with Halney and Bob. Bob needed a little bit of orbital experience, so should have all our crew members up to level 1 now. So that'll be helpful for restarting our Arctic expedition. So can you see here? Nothing really science related back. We got just about 90% of our value back. We were to the ocean on the opposite side of the continent from Kerbal Space Center. Bob advanced to level 1. And looks like we got a good chunk of cash for completing that tourist contract. And now that we've launched the we've helped launch the Kerbal Space Tourism Agency, should be seeing more complex contracts from them in the future. See, we have our contract complete here, so that was 100,000 funds, so that's nice. Okay, well, I think that's all for this episode. Next episode, we might be going back to the Arctic again, unless I think of something else that I would rather do. So, I hope you have enjoyed this. This has been Promi. Thanks for watching.